Welcome back to the Rooted in Resilience podcast. Today is another solo cast with the Strong Sistas, Ash, myself, and Sarah, my sister, not my partner. Sarah is
Maybe
now
a comment or something.
We have gotten quite a few comments. Oh, yes, we are sisters. Sarah is no longer in Armstrong because she is married, so she is taken, y'all. I know that many have asked about inquiring about Sarah, but Sarah's taken. Mrs. Sarah Embry. Today, we are talking about a fun topic, I think, because in the world of social media, you guys need to remember that social media is a highlight reel. And so whoever is the owner of that social media account can control and choose what they are sharing in videos day to day, what they choose to edit out. And so I think as an audience member, it can sometimes be hard to, accept yourself because you're like, how can I compare to this perfectionism on a pedestal? And guys, no one's perfect. Literally, no one is perfect. And so I hope today's conversation, we kind of start to share a little bit more of that. I would love to know this information about other people. And so what we are going to do today is share what we are good at when it comes to health practices and living a healthy lifestyle and habits that we are really good at, and then also share things that we're not good at. And I think that this will just show that, everyone has something that they're working on, and that's okay. It's a part of being human. You're not going to be a perfect human. We all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses. So I wrote out some things that I'm good at and that I'm not good at. And Sarah wrote out some things that she's good at and that she's not good at. So Sarah, how'd you like to get started?
Let's start with the first thing that I'm looking at your list.
Don't look at my list.
What are you good at?
Okay. So I think a few things that we've talked about a lot in the past is like there are foundational healthy habits that are going to move the needle forward more in your health than any of these like niche biohack hot topics right now. And if people aren't dialing in these fundamental base habits, they get distracted and spend time on the niche topics, they could be missing out because we all have a limited amount of time. So I think that I'm good at most of the foundational healthy habits that I'm not perfect at them. And I'll talk about the ones that I'm not good at. But I think that one thing that I'm good at is being active. So I hit my workouts for the week. Guys, that's not 7 days a week. I work out 2 to 3 times, and that's strength training workouts 2 to 3 times a week. I'm really good at hitting those every single week. Like I just get those done. I'm also good at being active throughout the day with daily steps, consistently between 10 to 15,000 steps a day, scattered throughout the day, not just one times like where you're sitting down all day and then all of a sudden, boom, just an influx of 14,000 steps. So I'm pretty good at being active. And I think that that is something that I've really integrated into my life. And it's a habit that our account was started with. The Strong Sistas, our last name is and was Armstrong, but we started the account based on like documenting like our lifting journey. And so that's a habit that I've kept for like a number of years. And I think, and I hope that it will remain for the rest of my life, because I think being active is important. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really great habit that you're good at.
Thanks. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I would say I'm good at the same thing. So I'm not going to go into detail, but I do the same thing. And I think just things that help with that habit, if somebody wants to be good at that, is having a dog to go on walks with helps a ton. Scheduling in walks throughout the day or just getting into a routine. So like maybe after meals, you go on a quick walk, or in the morning, you go on a quick walk, and restructuring your schedule to fit in your lifts as a priority, just making it happen somehow. So it has to do with looking at maybe where you're procrastinating and not using your time wisely. And maybe in that time you can go be active if that's something that you need to work on. And I think, like you said, that's something we're really good at. But I'm going to just like piggyback off of that as something we're bad at is and it's related, is like kind of procrastination. It's not necessarily a health habit, but we tend to go on a walk to avoid doing something else, like making a decision, or if we know that, something really annoying or frustrating needs to be done, Ashley and I will just kind of like awkwardly find ourselves on a walk. So I guess it's a healthy coping mechanism too.
Time to think and solve problems in your head.
It is, but that's one thing where we are very good at is going on a walk, even when we should be doing something else technically. But okay, so since you did something you're good at, I'm going to do something I'm bad at.
Okay.
I'd say one thing that I'm pretty bad at is switching up my food. So I'll get into food routines, and this isn't like an unhealthy habit, but I'll get into food routines where I really love what I'm eating, and then I'll eat the same thing consistently for weeks on end. So like right now I eat 3 square meals, and I haven't changed those 3 meals in like 2 or 3 weeks. I'll add in maybe like a different vegetable, or I'll change up the fruits. So technically I am doing a little bit of like different nutrients, or I'll change the meat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess like I am changing it up slightly, but for the most part, I just stick with the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And I love it so much. And I don't do good with like changing that.
So that's where like, if someone was interested in changing it more, doing like one time a week where you sit down on Sunday and you write out your meal ideas for the next week, instead of just being like, oh, I don't want to think about it, I'm just going to copy over what I did last week.
I guess it depends on your personality.
Yeah.
Some people really require different foods and excitement and variety in their diet. I'm somebody who, like, once I get into a food routine that's working for me, I'll stick with it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I guess the only thing that is potentially like unhealthy about that is, like I already alluded to, you could be lacking nutrients if you're not rotating your meats or your fruits and vegetables. Or I don't know, I guess you could technically burn out, but when I burn out, I just eat something different. So it's not really a bad habit. It's just, I could see where it could be unhealthy for somebody in a different context who's choosing bad foods.
I also think that it could be healthy for someone that's trying to make their life simpler.
True.
And eat like meal planning and sticking to the same thing has a number of benefits. And I think a lot of people come from, okay, I got to order Uber Eats today, or I got to go out to eat, and they're eating all over the place. And I think that they would benefit from a structure.
That's true. You say it, girl. So technically, I guess like that was a bad
something that she's good at.
I don't know.
I know. Okay. Piggyback there. Something that I'm not good at is going to bed early. This is a very busy time in my life, and we're balancing a lot of things. We've got Strong Sistas and a lot of like background changes that are happening there. We're optimizing certain offerings, like new course offering, new meal plan upgrade, new train to change stuff. And if you're interested in our current offerings, which are already awesome, but we're just trying to take them to the next level, check out the link in the description, www.armstrongsisters.com. We'll take you there. And that is proper sisters, armstrongsisters.com. So there's that. And then we're building a food system, Nourish. So www.nourishcooperative.com. That's coordinating all the farm partners, being very specific with our requirements, getting the custom made feed to farm partners, optimizing the feed, coordinating all that, customer support, website optimization. Same thing with the eggs. There's a lot of moving parts. And then there's a farm. We have a farm, and then trying to fit in a personal life. So I am not good at developing a block schedule for myself. And I think that I would really benefit from implementing a lot more structure into my life. We're going through a big change with Nourish right now, like restructuring and making all these tweaks and implementing systems. So it's like a push phase right now with the goal to make our day-to-day lives easier. But just real talk, guys, like I'm not good at going to bed early. I often stay up very late. I don't get 8 hours of sleep a night. I sleep great. Like when I do go to sleep, like I'm a champion sleeper, but
what would you define as very late?
I would say this past week, I've been going to bed at 12 or later, and that's not good. I know I need to get to bed earlier. Like I know it's not good for me, but.
Well, there are some people, there's different like chronotypes of sleepers. Some people are naturally more.
But I wake up early too.
I know. So you're like not working with your actual type. And I know that there's different opinions on this, but I wear the Aura Ring, and the Aura Ring tells me that I go to bed at the exact time of my chronotype.
Wow.
So that's something I'm good at.
So that's something that I need to work on is
you do. And I tell you this, and she acknowledges it every week.
Yeah. So like, guys, it's an ongoing thing. I feel you. I hear you. If there's something that you're working on and it still hasn't stuck, it's okay. And we will get there. And that is a goal of mine, is to get better systems and block scheduling in place and taking things off my plate and either delegating or implementing a system where that's taken care of. That's what I'm working towards. And I look forward to that, so that, and I'm still blessed. Like I can still do so much during the day, but it could be organized better. There are certain things that I'm doing that I don't need to be doing. Like that can be automated, or technology can take care of that. So that is something that I'm not good at. And I think the biggest thing is I push work sometimes too late. And I think that it is important every day to have some sort of downtime before you go to bed. Like you can't just like work and go to sleep. And so I work late, and then I've got to allot myself that downtime, that like relaxed time. And it's like, well, that started when I should have been going to sleep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that is something that I'm working on, guys. Especially, you know, preparing for the next stage in life where there is a family, and like I want a family, and that's going to happen as business owners, as entrepreneurs. Like there are going to be days like that where there are late days. Like that's just inevitable. But implementing, getting these systems in place, hiring more people, delegating, and getting that ready to go so that that isn't as frequent is a big priority for me.
Yeah. I also think like you just implementing a shut off time at a certain point and recognize that like some things could be pushed till the next day.
Yeah, that's a weakness.
And instead also, and yeah, like you said, looking at the schedule, where are you being unproductive?
100%.
So why 100%. Are you still working at that time? And
100%.
I'm not saying that that's what you do, but yeah, I do. That's one thing I am good at, is at a certain time, Brandon and I just sit down, eat dinner, and then relax. And then I get into the bath, and then I go to bed. And because of the seasonal change, now that it's getting darker earlier, it's actually helping.
Okay.
So, well, it can throw you off, but it's helping me because I start that wind down on time instead of in the summer where it's like, it's weird to be winding down when it's still standing out.
Yeah.
So it's helped me. There is a time shift coming up, so perhaps this can help you.
That's a great point.
We are falling back. So maybe you could use that to your advantage.
Yeah. Another thing I've got to tweak is my morning routine. I had my morning routine down so like, you know, you just like wake up and the sun is out. So you go outside and you can look at the sun. I do my 6 points. I do a little bit of farm chores. But now when you wake up, it's dark. And I got to bring out the red light. I got to tweak it.
Yeah.
With the seasons.
It's okay. We all tweak something.
So that's something that I'm not good at.
Okay. I hear you.
So Sarah, what is something, oh, you just mentioned that you're good at.
I am very good at it. That was one of my things I'm good at. So bedtime.
So what's another thing that you're good at?
Another thing I'm good at that has to do with bedtime sort of is light exposure. So I put on my blue light blockers when, not all the time when the sun goes down, but I at least put them on like a good hour or two before bed, or I try to. Then you have Brandon who like will intentionally shine lights at me and like just mess with me. It really irks me.
Pain points. He knows your trigger points.
But I'm good at blocking the blue lights, and I'm good at seeing sunlight, or I try to see sunlight first thing in the morning. So I'll wear my blue light blockers till I get outside. But another thing that we've done that's really helped with this is that while we have normal blue light daylight light bulbs in our house, every few lights we also have dedicated red lights. So like in this room right now in our bedrooms is just red lights. So downstairs, there's also some light switches that I can hit that will just turn on a red light.
So it just makes it easier.
Yeah. So this is what's made it really easy for me, is like there are lights I can turn on for the daytime, and then there's lights I can turn on for nighttime. And it's not like a huge pain in the butt to get this set up every day. It's just something that we already have established. So that's made it easy for me. And that's why I'm good at it, is my light exposure and making sure I'm trying to align it with the proper circadian signals and the season. So like you said, it's a little bit more difficult in the fall and winter when it's starting to get darker earlier. and stays darker longer in the morning, because then you have to think about it in the morning. Like you can't always just like look out the window and see sun.
Yeah.
So it requires a little tweaking, but that's one thing I try to be good at. And it stems from the sleep issues I used to have.
Yeah.
And so it's one thing I've just kept consistent, and my sleep is absolutely wonderful now. And that's not the only reason my sleep is good, but just one thing that stuck with me.
Yeah.
So it was a habit I built over time, and now it's just kind of like second nature.
Great. Should I do good at or bad at?
Let's do a bad at.
Okay. You're going to relate to this one. Are you ready? I'm not good at getting dressed for the day.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
So if anyone's watching on YouTube, we are both in fact wearing pajama pants.
Yes.
This is a challenge when we work from home and we have a farm and we work out. So how many outfits does one need to wash for the day? If you get up, you go do farm chores, then you change into clothes, and then you go and do farm chores again, you got to change out, and then you go to the gym, and then you have a podcast, and then you go back out to the farm.
Are you talking about laundry?
Laundry, but also
I do the laundry. But like, so tell me about it.
But the whole like, do I really have to change outfits that many times? So like for any homesteaders, we've shared about this on Instagram, and it seems like many of you guys can relate. It's just sometimes you're kind of living like a hobo pajama life, especially in the mornings.
Yes. I think it would be something that would enhance one's quality of life in a way where they get dressed and they feel really great about themselves, and maybe that makes their partner look at them differently. So I definitely have been wanting to work on this. And so like on the weekends, it's nice to go somewhere where you physically need to get dressed.
Yeah. Like we picked pumpkins last week.
But it's definitely hard. And you said homesteaders, but maybe stay at home moms too, or stay at home dads or whatever. If you don't have to leave the house, there isn't always the urge to go change. And so, and even if you do leave the house, but you live where we live, middle of nowhere, it doesn't matter. There's no urge to be looking nice.
So anyone that's pajama living, hobo clothes living,
Students,
we feel you.
Yeah.
We feel you.
But it is definitely something that we've wanted to, at least I want to work on as we continue to evolve, because like I said, I think that it is a nice thing to show up at your best for your partner.
Absolutely. Definitely something to work on.
Yes. That's why I agree. I'm bad at that. Yeah.
So what's something that you're good at?
I will blame it on the fact that I do the whole house's laundry and I don't want any more laundry. So don't change. No changing. What would you say I'm bad at?
No, good at.
Good at? Oh,
we both just admitted that we're not good at.
Yeah. So for the same kind of similar lines to the blocking lights, I'm good at not being on my phone at night. And I'll define that as like, I'll maybe like check a text from my mom or something at like 8 or so. But past that, I try to not go on my phone. Even if I have my blue light blockers on, I just think it's a different stimulus being right there in your face versus watching a TV screen. So I do still watch TV past that time, but I do not scroll on Instagram, or I try to not be communicating with people. I think it's easier for me because I live with my husband now. So like maybe for you, you're maybe still texting other people that you're not physically with. But I do think that that is also helpful because I think it allows me to wind down easier and it reduces cortisol. I'm not just like staring at my phone and getting triggered. So that's one thing I am good at, is at a certain time, just like putting my phone down.
Sarah has mastered some of these habits.
Ashley's not good at that.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
We'll watch a show together and I look over and she's just like, Sarah, watch this.
I'm not good at.
It's usually like a sourdough. She's like, you need to make this.
Yeah. All right. Operation, turn it off. It is challenging. It is challenging.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that we're in different life stages right now. Like I'm with Brandon. Yeah. So I physically don't need to be messaging him. Whereas anybody in your life isn't right there next to you. So if you still want to communicate when you worked all day and now this is your only time to communicate, it's harder.
Exactly.
So yeah,
exactly.
Because I've been in that situation, you know?
Yep. Okay. Something that I'm good at is reducing noise in my life. And I think that this has been a huge, very important step for my mental health. So all of you guys know, in this world of social media, you can get any amount of information at you with 100 million viewpoints. in a matter of seconds. And it's very easy to get overwhelmed. And honestly, I think most people could benefit from just turning a lot of things off. And so something that Sarah and I have been very particular with over this last year is who is on our news feeds? Who are we following on social media? If that person is a fear-based account, is eliciting fear automatically, gotta go. Like, no, the answer is no. Because what is the purpose of following someone that isn't adding to your life, right? And so being very careful with who you follow, that's something that we've been good at. I also have reduced the amount that I gathered more information. So I reduced the amount that I'm listening to podcasts. I don't listen to the news at all. Like literally, I don't turn on the news. There's probably some downsides to that.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good and bad thing.
But I think just being very careful with information download frequency and giving yourself time to think and not have any like when I go do farm chores, I have noticed I am so much happier doing farm chores without a podcast on and just listening to myself think than I am going to do those farm chores with a podcast on. Of course, I gain knowledge and insight, but at a certain point, like, do you need to be doing that 7 days a week? Or are you giving yourself enough time to just let yourself think? That is a habit that I've worked on for the last like 2 years. And I think it's been one of the best things for me as a type A, always trying to learn, always trying to improve. Being okay with learning at your own pace, not trying to always keep up and instead have like 1 or 2 days out of the week where you turn a podcast on. That's been very helpful for me, and making sure that I every single day I have time to just let myself think, have nothing coming in on me. And so reducing noise in my life where it's under my control, where I can actively seek that information. I think that that's been a pretty important step for me.
Huh, definitely. I would say I'm good at that in the same way as like not really actively listening to podcasts anymore. Yeah. And I'm not talking about podcasts like ours necessarily where...
Guys, you should always listen to ours.
No, but she's referring to more podcasts about like a very specific topic, learn about this, or like, you know...
There's nothing bad about learning. You should still always be learning, but at what frequency? And are you giving yourself time to implement what you've learned, or you just learn?
Yes.
And then you never implement it into your life,
or you're constantly living in fear because like you don't know enough, or, you know, this changes something for you. So anyway, I'm good at that component. But I will say I'm bad at occasionally I get into a doom scroll, and it's not like on things that are, like you said, like fearful. It's just like if I find something I'm interested in, like let's take sourdough, for example. So sometimes I'll get into the doom scroll and it's not like on bad topics or like I'm being influenced a bunch to some degree, but like it'll be like I'm looking for a new sourdough recipe and that leads me down like, oh my gosh, I love her page. Oh my gosh, look how many recipes she has. Oh my gosh, like 30 minutes later, I'm still on her page. So that happens. And so one thing that Brandon brought into my life is this app called what's it called?
I think that to a certain degree that's okay.
No, I definitely don't think it's a bad thing. It depends on what you're doom scrolling and how long. But sometimes, like I said, sometimes I'm procrastinating. So, you know, like I'll go on the walk to do something, or I'll maybe be on my phone, and it can get you in the habit of being on your phone even when you're not meaning to be on your phone. And so literally, like sometimes maybe if you don't know what to do in that moment, you just pick up your phone and you just go to your notes, or you go to your phone text, or you go to like something else. You don't even have a purpose for being on your phone. It's just the act and the stimulation of seeing the screen and the apps and the colors. So if that's happening to you, because this has definitely happened to me before, I like this Stay Focused app because it's an app that actually will block you out of your phone after a certain amount of time. So let's say you want to allow yourself an hour worth of interacting and scrolling on social media. You can set that hour per day. And then after that hour, it will not let you open that app anymore. And you can't change that setting for like a full week. And you can't delete the app. You can't do anything to change it. So if you really need to break that habit, I do recommend the Stay Focused app. It helped me break it. I just thought I'd mention that because it's something I've recognized for myself too, like this habit of picking up the phone.
Yeah.
And again, not even having a purpose for picking it up. It's just like, I was walking around doing chores in the kitchen and then I just go and check my phone for no reason.
Yeah.
So trying to break that has been helpful. The use of the app, stay focused.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily break the attraction to the phone of like just going to your notifications. Or sometimes for me, one thing I do every day is my emails. And so sometimes I'll just constantly refresh my inbox. And I think that that's actually a really bad habit too. You should only be checking your inbox like once a day or twice a day.
Yeah, it's a hard balance when running a business because like there are fires that you have to
Sometimes,
be prepared for
sure.
and like put out. But I think that's the benefit of actually putting your phone on loud. So like I saw this meme that we're millennials. Millennials always have their phone on silent and do not disturb because we don't want anyone like interacting with us. But then that leads to checking notifications more often to see if you miss something. But if you turn your phone on loud, you will hear it and you don't have to go look for it.
That's a really good tip.
So like millennials, turn your phone on loud.
Yeah, I like that. So then you'll get the notification and the ding.
Yeah.
So that could help you break the cycle of constantly checking it.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that a lot. So yeah, I think, and so when I say doom scrolling, I mean that with not just scrolling your social media feed, like I said, refreshing my inbox or just physically looking at my phone.
Yeah.
So that is something I'm not good at. I've worked on breaking it, and I'd like to just completely overcome it. And I think, like you said, the notification is a very good idea.
Well, so that's actually something that I brought up that I'm not good at. Is like I get overwhelmed very quickly with people reaching out to me. So for anyone that's listening that I regularly interact, like that is a friend of ours and you have our cell phone number and you text us. And if I don't respond, there's nothing like I don't do it personally.
Yeah, I'm not good at that either.
I don't do well with lots of notifications. And I think that is a normal response. Like as humans, we aren't, it's not normal for us to be interacting with this many people. And so it is a protective mechanism of just not dealing with some notifications. And with all of our businesses, we have emails, we've got Slack channels, we've got Discord channels, we've got Signal, we have and then there's the social media notifications of messages, comments, like that is a very overwhelming state to be at. But guys, I just like admitting that like I'm not good at it and I'm still working on a system where I don't get overwhelmed, but I also don't fall behind because it's important to stay, especially running a business, like it's important to stay up to date on those. But how can there be more systems in place where you don't get overwhelmed?
I would say I'm far worse at staying on top of the business notifications.
I'm good at staying on top of the business, but like
I do good with like 1 or 2 apps as an option of communication, not like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So that's something we need to organize.
Yeah. But I'm if anyone knows us in personal life and I didn't respond to a text, it's nothing personal. It's just hard.
So yeah, I definitely think that though, as growing as a person, it's really good to have those connections with people who do want to reach out to you. I do think that that's something to work on.
It is. That's why I said I'm not good at it.
Right. I think that will come with you setting boundaries and shut off times and restructuring your schedule. I'm saying this to myself too, because I'm also not good at it. What is something that you are good at?
I am really good at hitting my macros and eating an amount of food that's appropriate to me. I don't do like restriction. I don't do binge cycles because I've put in the work of developing what my maintenance calories is, understanding how much food my body needs. And so I have no desire to go binge. I have no desire to just go eat a tremendous amount of bowls of ice cream because I'm not restricting myself. Like I literally eat food that I love every single day. And I know how much food I need, so I don't undereat in the fear of gaining fat. I eat a lot of I eat as much as I can, right? So that way I'm well fueled for life. And so I'm not afraid of eating that amount because I know what my macro targets are. So I'm really good at tracking food on Chronometer and understanding like what a food plate should consist of when it comes to like the energy macros, the protein needs, and the variety that I need to be satisfied with that meal. I think in modern times, especially in social media and like dogma and the diet cultures, you can become so fearful that you lose any sort of insight and like you don't know what your plate should look like. And like, yes, here's a plug for our course, Rooted in Resilience. We help empower you to better understand that so that you feel more confident. Like I am very confident in building my macros, what I need, what's on that plate so that I don't feel restricted. And I do have the energy to go like do all these cool things in our businesses and love life day to day. So like I'm very good at macro tracking and not feeling restricted in life. And yeah.
Yes. Nice. So I'd say macro tracking. I mean, it does help that we've been doing it for over a decade.
We were on the MyFitnessPal life.
Yeah. Like we've tracked our macros through every stage here. And I think that that is a good and bad thing. I think that it's good because you can really work towards different fitness goals you might have, and you have an awareness of forming a balanced meal that works for you. You have an awareness of the different micro and macronutrients in each food. But on the potential downside to that is that you, even though you just spoke about like nobody has intuition anymore, you do lose a slight sense of intuition if your only focus is hitting the specific macros. So I think that's where it's really actually great to just kind of, I know everybody hates the topic of calories, but if you know where you're at in your journey and your specific caloric goal, you might be able to tweak the macros slightly to fit in what you're intuitively craving. So I've seen some people doing this where they hit their protein goal and then they allow themselves to just hit the carb and fat in any given day based on where their calories are at. But I do think with this in mind, it is important to know, what constitutes an actual good amount of carbs for your body and like how many carbs do you need to be consuming to fuel yourself appropriately, how much fat is too much with how much carbs you're consuming. So yeah, there's a lot of complexity to that, but I could see where there would be a downside to that too. But I do see all the positives, and that's something I'm good at as well.
Yeah. I think the biggest positive is like food awareness. So then you understand that like, these people saying like, oh my gosh, when I eat a carb like pizza, my blood sugar goes out the roof. Guys, there's more calories from fat in pizza than there are carbs. So is pizza really a carb? It's not a bad food, but just like it gives tracking meals for a period of time gives you food awareness and empowerment so that you don't become fearful of these things.
For sure. Yeah. Okay. So something I am bad at, a few more bad at is I slouch a lot when I sit. And so having a standing desk has helped with this a lot. I just went back to it. Ashley bought me a standing desk. But even then I'll like turn my head.
A treadmill too, and she's not using it.
I know, I need to move it. Okay. So, but even then I'll like turn my head and there's like a mirror and I'm slouch standing. So like it only really happens when I'm at my desktop working, or like even during this podcast, I've been slouching. So that's something I'm not very good at, is if I just get into like such a zone of getting something done on the computer, I'll just slouch. And it becomes noticeable over time. Obviously, you start slouching just more regularly. You have more different pains in your neck. So something I'm not that good at is snapping out of that. But I do have awareness. So I guess my awareness is good. But my habit at this moment in time is not very good. Standing desk is helping. Not sitting for long periods of time is helping.
We like are transitioning out of that cut phase.
Yeah.
And I feel like when someone is in an LEA state during cut, like we've talked about this a number of times with Kathleen on the Minnesota Starvation Experiment podcast series. Like when you go into a calorie deficit for a fat loss phase, you are saying, hello, I understand I'm going to be in an LEA state for a specific physique goal for a short period of time. Like you literally are that, you have to understand that. And so maybe like coming out of the being in a fat loss phase, like your body, it's hard for the body to spend energy.
It starts slouching more. It starts leaning on things more.
You start
opting to sit instead of stand. So those are things that I'm currently bad at. I agree with you. I've not always been bad at them. Like I've been able in different phases to be more aware of my posture. But I agree, coming out of the cut, I notice I do sit for long periods of time sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll be leaning on something. So it's just something to be aware of. But yes, I do think that there is the food component and the amount of calories one consumes that plays a huge role into that. Yeah. So as you slowly move out of the LEA state, perhaps those habits will also change.
An important thing to like touch on there is you hear many people like, oh, like I'm eating so low calorie and I'm not losing weight, because the body like adapts to how much food you're eating. And so that's a classic example of slouching or like not moving much, staying seated for long periods of time or leaning on things. You're reducing your NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, in attempt for the body to reestablish a new maintenance at lower calories, because it knows that those there's doesn't have enough calories coming in. And
that's where a step count really is important if you are in a deficit.
Yeah.
So at least you're keeping the steps consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what I'm good at or bad at?
Bad
at? I'm not good at having dinner early. There's just some sort of disconnect for me.
I think this is a whole trend with your nighttime routine. She's eating dinner super late, so then she's pushed back her work later, and then she's going to bed later.
There's a few things that I need to really address, and I think one of them is the notifications, because they all seem to come like near the end of the business day. Everyone and their grandma is trying to get a hold of me, and I gotta respond to them, and then that pushes it back.
Put yourself in their shoes. They're reaching out to you at the end of the day. They're aware it's the end of the day. They're expecting a response tomorrow, but that's you're a slave to it and catering to them at that time.
Set boundaries for myself.
Yes.
Yeah. So I do have dinner late. However, I will say that like is it ideal? No. Should you have dinner late every single day? No. But I was able to lose my body. I lost like 18 to 20 pounds on my fat loss phase, still having dinner late. And so I think there's a lot of fear mongering about like, oh my God, if I have a bite of eat when the sun isn't out, I'm going to get fat, or my body's not going to be okay. And like, it is going to be okay. It is going to be okay. And you would benefit from probably eating rather than skipping and being afraid. Right. So just give yourself grace and understanding that you're not going to be perfect on having dinner at the same time every day, or, oh my gosh, the sun went down and I didn't eat dinner yet. Like it's okay. It really is okay. I was still able to lose my body weight. I was still able to lose weight in my fat loss phase, and I would still have days where I would eat dinner late. Like it is. I think
what matters there is like tracking your food intake, your activity. Obviously, the people in like the circadian camps have a different opinion on that. But yeah, I mean, if you can eat with the sun and the seasons, that's great. But if that's not working for you, that's okay.
My biggest thing is like when I do have like a big dinner late, it definitely will like impact my sleep. But as long as I eat a specific amount of time before I actually lay down to go to bed, I'm fine. So like my sleep is fine. Do you get what I'm saying? So like if I eat dinner at 10 p.m. and try to go to bed at 11, I'm not going to sleep well. But if I have dinner at 8 and I go to bed at 10 or 11, I'm fine.
That makes sense. I don't think you should be eating dinner at 10,
No, dinner needs to be earlier, but that's something that I'm working on. I think
if it was like a small nighttime snack that you needed for better sleep, then that makes sense.
Absolutely. But remember, I used to have like dinner early and then my sourdough cookies right before bed, like a small little snack.
Yeah, that you're not doing that.
I need a life restructuring. Getting there.
All right. Something I am bad at again is mobility. I'm just like, it doesn't exist in my life. I'm working on it, but we've been lifting for so long that I've never really been great at targeted movements for my tight muscles and my weak muscles to strengthen them and increase my range of motion. I just think in general too, it's good to be like an agile cat, and I'm really not.
I have a controversial view on stretching.
I'm not talking about stretching. I know you already have that view. I'm talking about general mobility. Guys, she always does this.
No, I think that's great. Like,
I'm not talking about static stretching. I'm talking about like any given movement. Let's say like I wanted to increase the depth of my squat. So I'm going to do like some type of like active weighted hip opener. So
I love loaded stretches.
Yeah. So I've been like really wanting to do, I even wrote it down in my like notebook and my schedule every week, but like I hardly ever actually cross it off.
I mean, I honestly think that if someone is overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, I've got so much to do with my fitness and I only have a certain number of hours that I can dedicate to this and I can't do all of it. If you're doing strength training where you are loading end ranges of motion, so for example, like you're doing deep squats where your hamstring is touching your calf, that is challenging your end range of motion and you're adding load there. That is a form of mobility. And so of course, if someone has extra time, like, and I would benefit doing definitely like some hip loaded stretching.
That's particularly what I mean. Yeah, and,
For sure.
And like core, deep core.
Yeah.
I know that I have a lot of weaknesses there. So things I'm aware of that just haven't made it into my schedule. And so some people start to feel really bad about those things. Like there's a long list of things they're aware of, they know that they should do, or that they haven't started, in their health journey yet. But like Ashley said in the beginning, we all have this ever long list of things that you want to do or you need to be doing.
So that's why we're having this conversation to hopefully
not trying to justify
relate to you guys that like everyone has the things that they're trying to improve.
Yes. I've got a few more bad things. Or what do you want to do next?
I'll give my one thing I'm good at.
Great. Let's hear.
Having a big breakfast. For so much of our life, we've hoarded our calories to the end of the day. I gave that up, I don't know, 3 years ago or so, and I have a big breakfast every single day. I no longer hoard my calories to the end of the day. I try to eat. Yes, I have dinner late sometimes, but like I eat large amounts of food, breakfast, lunch. My meal, I'm not really a snack girly. I'm more a discrete big meals. Like I like discrete big meals. That works really well for me. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, occasionally a snack in there. But I am really good at having a really big breakfast, and it sets you up for the day so that you're not like running on stress hormones and you don't get to at some point in the day where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm fasting. I haven't had a bite to eat. Like you're not going to function at your best when you're running around like that. And so the big breakfast to me has just been a huge game changer in not hoarding food. And then also I think that there are like metabolic benefits, like your body is better at using those calories earlier in the day. So that's been a big win for me and something that I'm good at. Like, let me get my breakfast in and then I will crush the day.
That's really good.
What about you on breakfast?
Oh yeah. Big breakfast. I'm on the 3 meals a day train. I'd say lunch comes out to be my largest meal, but then breakfast and then dinner. So
yeah, dinner's the smallest meal for me.
Yeah.
Too.
And it's not like I'm not eating like a piece of I'm not eating just like a ham slice. It's not like small. No. It's like decent. So it's not like the calories are significantly lower at night. It's just, in comparison, my lunch is my biggest and my breakfast and my dinner. That's what's working well for me.
I love breakfast.
Breakfast is great.
Teresa, remember Teresa? You know Teresa? Living Roots.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember her saying one time that like breakfast or sleep is a time machine to breakfast.
Yes.
That's something that's always been stuck with me. So Teresa, if you're listening,
that's hilarious. Okay. Another thing I am bad at is I try to be good at it, but it always fizzles out quickly in the summer. Consistently getting enough daily sunlight. So I'm getting better. Like over the summers, I'll lay out and whatnot, and I'll like expose my whole body to the sun. But it really fizzles out once like end of August is coming around. It's September, it's October. I'm ready for the fall. I'm wearing more sweaters. I'm not really exposing myself to get the vitamin D necessary. So it's something I'm pretty bad at. Like I'm good at it for like 2 months out of the year. Like I try, and then it just goes to nothing.
I've like somehow made this habit of anything that is like phone call, notification, texting. I just respond to those all outside.
I'm outside a lot. Don't get me wrong. We go on a ton of walks, but I'm not able to access that vitamin D because I'm wearing a lot of clothing.
So Andra, I don't know if you're listening, but she has posted these really cool photos from like the 1970s of these women at ski resorts where they're wearing their swimsuits in the snow, but they have found a spot where it's like lower, so the wind is blocked by other things, but the snow is white, and so there's like more sun coming to that spot, and it's so warm. So I would love to try to implement, like, find the warm spot on the property and like do sunbathing.
That sounds great. Yeah. Yeah, I need to do that because I mean, hopefully I'm like racking up a ton of vitamin D in that time frame, but and like it's only been the last year or two that I've actually consistently laid out and accessed like full body sun. For so long, Ashley and I were not getting sun exposure. Like even in the summer, we would wear.
But even when we were carnivore, we were still getting sun, but we just like were always white.
But we weren't really getting sun. We were always wearing leggings. It's something I'm still working on. Obviously, getting better at it, but not something I'm the best at. Yeah. What's another thing that you are?
The last thing I am bad at, like I don't have anything else
hear it.
that I wrote down, and I don't want to just keep coming at them, but something that I'm not good at recently is I've gotten out of the habit of meal prepping. And that I think is something that's contributing to my late dinner. I used to be master at meal prepping, and that, guys, it makes your life so simple. Like you don't even have to think about it. There's fun, delicious meals ready to go, or the meal ingredients are ready to go. And getting rid of that like decision fatigue or like, crap, I've got to form this meal right now and I don't have much time and I'm like stressed and I just want to eat. Like meal prepping saves so much. And shameless plug, we have a really great meal plan offering on our website, armstrongsisters.com, like pro-metabolic, metabolic supportive meals that are family style or single serving style, delicious, not restrictive. And there's a number of calorie ranges like 1800, 2000, 2200, 2400, 2600. Like, why am I just not using those?
I know. It's a shame.
So check those out if you need this.
I don't change my food.
But meal prepping, it's a game changer, and you don't have to buy our meal plans. But like, for some reason, I've gotten out of that habit. These last 2 weeks have been really hard. You've seen that.
Yeah.
But I got out of that habit, and it made these last 2 weeks even harder because I didn't put in that time to meal prep.
But one thing you are good at is still making your own meals instead of just like easily ordering something. So yeah, if you want to make your life easier, I definitely think meal prepping is a very helpful tool.
Like literally sit down on a Sunday and just write out what you're going to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner. And if you can prep those single ingredients so then you can quickly form meals from those,
yes,
it will save so much time.
That's one style is like single ingredient meal prep. So
that's
like
my preferred.
Potatoes, peel vegetables, etc. Or this past week for Brandon, I did actual recipes. So I did for lunch is like this fusilli, broccoli and chicken fusilli with some cheese. And then for dinner has been a shepherd's pie. So it's been so nice to have those ready. Otherwise, I totally agree. It sets me like years behind to have to make him dinner and then make my own. And it's just a pain. So
why don't you guys eat the same meal?
Because he is like the most ridiculous picky person with food.
Brandon is a very picky eater.
Like his textures are all off.
He can't have yogurt with fruit in it. The yogurt has to be separate.
Yes. There's a lot there. There's a lot there.
But there's a lot that's great. He's my brother-in-law now.
No, he doesn't have any food issues. He's just somebody who actually doesn't have food issues. So is very particular about the food he eats because he knows what he likes and he knows what he doesn't like.
Yeah.
So yeah. But that's funny because like, okay, he doesn't like mixing things together or textures. But when I made him the shepherd's pie, he doesn't eat it like the beef mixture at the bottom and the potato on top. He mixes it all together.
Brandon.
So it's really bizarre.
It's
really bizarre preferences. So yeah.
Do you have any more?
No, that's all. Hopefully that this conversation, the intention, like Ashley said in the beginning, was so you guys could feel maybe like if anybody's feeling super stressed about what they're lacking, recognize that all of us have things we're working on and we all have flaws. Yeah. And we all have our strengths. So maybe list out some things that you are good at and reward yourself for that and applaud yourself and be really proud of yourself for doing the best you can at this moment in time with the information that you have.
I also think writing out the things that you're not good at and then understanding that you're not going to improve all of them at the same time.
Yeah, just maybe work on one.
Work on one. Because the one that, like, I talked about things that have really changed and improved my life. It took time to implement those, but now it's a habit and it's something that's easily integrated into my life. So, Sarah, what is the one thing that you are going to work on? What's the priority for you to work on?
Not just like mindlessly looking at my phone. So I already re-downloaded the app that will block my apps. And then I'm going to turn on my notifications and try that route and then not look at my phone unless I hear the notification.
I love that.
Like I don't need to be searching for an email.
Right.
How about you?
I think that getting my notifications in a more centralized place is going to be really important for me to not feel a little bit more like pulled and tugged by a number of people.
I think your low-hanging fruit would be to meal prep again. From the conversation we just had, it sounded like you not meal prepping made everything else that you're already not good at worse.
I love that. Thank you for answering for me. No, I'm serious. Like I'm literally serious.
Well, you literally said your last 2 weeks have been harder because you didn't meal prep.
Okay, hold on though. So I was thinking about this. Yesterday I made lunch and I was like, I should have this meal prepped and I could just pull it out of the freezer and put it in the oven.
That's great.
Can someone please tell me why Tupperwares have shrunk in size? They're almost like they're encouraging us to eat small baby food meals.
It's hard to find big ones. So
I said, Sarah, can you order us like glass Tupperware?
Let me tell you.
And this thing comes in like a 2x2 inch square container.
Ashley,
how is my lunch supposed to fit in here?
I searched on Amazon for Tupperware. Like I would type like large glass Tupperware, like large meal glass Tupperware. And the only options are these like it's like a set of tiny ones with like the largest one being like a medium. And then it's very large bowls that are like for mixing salads and stuff.
So what?
The options are not great.
So who's doing this agenda to get us all in an LEA and under eat calories?
No,
I need bigger glass Tupperware.
People don't understand the meal sizes we're working with here.
Drop a link for us if you have some ideas of where we can find that.
Ideally they're glass since we're heating up stuff in them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I had fun.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah. Okay. Until next time, guys, stay rooted in resilience.